What's up, freaks and geeks? This is episode 1 of Real View, and today we're going to be talking about the Voigtlander 25mm F0.95. This thing is a sexy beast that sees the dark dimension. Let me just address the elephant in the room right now. I realize this LED light is flickering. It's the first time I ever used it, so sue me. But to be honest, it's starting to become a cool effect. Now, before we get into whether or not you should buy this lens, I know you guys all want to see this. Let's take a look at some footage that I shot with the Voigtlander. Alright, so I've only been playing with this thing for like 4 or 5 days maybe, and I am super stoked on this lens. I think it is an amazing lens if you're shooting micro four thirds. This thing is built like a tank. It's not just metal mount, the whole lens is made out of metal, and when you feel it in your hand, it's like this thing feels expensive, which it is. This thing's gonna set you back at least $1,000 depending on where you live. I happened to get mine used for about $700, which is unheard of, and if you find a deal like that, I highly suggest snagging it. Reminds me of when I bought my old Tokina 11-16 for around the same price for my Canon. It's one of those lenses that you just don't really need, but you want it. Now here's some things I think you should know about this lens. It is soft at 0.95, so it's super soft, wide open, like noticeably soft. Look up stuff on the internet, watch other reviews, it'll all tell you the same thing. This thing is unfortunately soft, wide open. The other thing to note is that it's a fully manual lens, which means it has no electrical contact with any camera. You can't see exposure and you cannot autofocus. Because of this, on cameras such as the G85, you need to have shoot without lens on, and then you also need to set the focal length of the lens for the internal body stabilization. What's interesting about this is I'm not sure if you're supposed to set the actual 25mm, saying the micro four thirds equivalent, or the 35mm equivalent, which would be 50mm. There actually is no 25mm setting in the G85. If you know the answer to this question, please tell me in the comments. I would love to know. Overall, I just have to say this is a great lens to want, but I don't necessarily think it's one you need. A native lens such as this 20mm 1.7 Panasonic gives relatively similar results. It's not as fast and you don't get as much depth of field, but at least you get autofocus and you get exposure metering. But the one thing no Panasonic or Olympus or any native lens has on the Voigtlander is the way it feels and how you actually use it. And that's why I'd suggest at least trying this one out. Just don't make the same mistake I did, and make sure you have an ND filter on this thing outside. Look, this is a really hyped up lens, and for the most part it lives up to that hype. But if you're looking for something for video that's sort of easy to put on and it gives you nice low light, this is a finicky lens. It's hard to focus, it's soft, wide open. I think you're better off with the 25mm 1.4 from Olympus or Panasonic. That being said, again, this lens is really nice. It's super well made and it feels really good. I look forward to using this lens, and if you can get your hands on one, I think you should at least give it a try.